what happens. I'm watching your stream. People are still waiting. I want to see if that pushes it. Yep, we're beautiful. Hello, Dr. Gerdes. How are you, sir?
Hey, thanks for on quick notice talking through things with me. I looking at things this morning was like, what is going on here? There's more to the story than what I'm seeing, right? Okay, so I saw 40 drones, 42 missiles, and they knocked down 39 of the drones. They knocked down only a fraction of those missiles. I think 18 got through. I could be quite a little off on the math here.
I'm getting
It
the
was something
numbers.
significant like that.
It was
It's
huge.
another one of those wave attacks that we saw a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or it's they wait up and build up, and the front line seemed to be getting hammered extremely hard.
Hmm.
General was talking about how it went from 5-1 to it's going to be 10-1 very
Yes.
shortly. Help us understand what we're seeing.
Okay, so I'm preparing for my stream tonight. I'm gonna have Jania on discussing all of this. Um, so 18 out of 42 missiles were destroyed, and 39 out of 40 Shaheeds. And they used a new type of missile as well.
They
Um,
two of them,
yes,
right?
that's
Yeah,
basically, you just gave us balloons. That's cool. That's
that
basic.
wasn't my intent.
That's well, that's the
If
Apple
I do this, I
anti.
think something else happens.
Look at
See,
that.
look at
Look
that.
at that. You
Yeah,
are
and if I
you,
do this, okay, this is
okay.
weird. I don't know why it does that, but it does that.
You've got your
So
something turned on. I
I'm
don't
not
know.
trying to do that. I'm just trying to
Well,
talk.
you're showing your age.
Yeah, I do my
And
thumbnails and PowerPoints too.
yes, you do. Unless I create one for you. But
That's right.
to answer that question, um, we're out of air defense.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like to me. It looks like you're not just out of artillery, but out of our air defense. And so they can pummel as much as they want to pummel until somebody steps up in a meaningful way very quickly. And so you're confirming what I'm seeing.
We're out of air defense. We are now. Ukraine just breaking news last hour or so approved their new mobilization.
Yep.
And I'll have Zhenya explain that tonight in a
Hmm.
few hours on my channel. That information is being processed. Honestly, I don't even understand it, and I work in Ukraine nonstop. So he will explain it. But the reality is, the bottom line is, Ukraine is in dire straits.
Hmm.
I'm so deeply concerned. I was deeply concerned when yesterday Lloyd Austin said, yeah, we're really not into the strikes inside Russia.
Yeah.
And then today, the assistant with
Yep.
her
I showed that this
magnet.
morning.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm going to actually reshare your commentary because it was so good tonight. It was unbelievable, but you give insight as to why. So,
Hmm.
guys, make sure you go back and see Professor Gertis's video from this morning on the, I think it was your first video this morning.
Yeah.
And if you
Daily
missed it,
brief.
yes, I'll also be resharing that later. The bottom line is, you know, President Zelensky then came out this afternoon and said, we will not use, once again, foreign supplies to attack inside Russia. We will only use Ukrainian stuff that
Homegrown.
we manufacture. Okay. So I believe that because we know they're hitting them with those long range drones they developed.
Hmm.
So what is the problem then? If
See, that's what I
you're
can't figure out.
see
This is the thing that's
that's the
maddening.
disconnect.
So why would the assistant secretary of defense or one of the assistant secretary of defenses, why would she say stop hitting oil? Why would Lloyd Austin say stop hitting oil? What exactly, like, this isn't a red line issue. There's something else driving this that I can't put my finger on.
I
I'm
can't
not
either.
exactly sure what it is. And I'm not going to just knee jerk into, well, they're Democrats and they don't want to lose
Mm-mm.
the election. There's something more than that. And when people say, well, it's because they're Republican or they're Democrat, usually it's a very shallow analysis, and they got to get past that into something more. There's something deeper driving this, and I can't figure out what.
There is something much deeper because even their arguments are illogical. Okay. Number one, we don't want American gear striking deep into Russia. Okay. Ukraine said they won't use it. So you either trust
Hmm.
them or you don't,
Hmm.
period. Secondly, the audacity of that Assistant Secretary of Defense to directly state that the attacks on Russian energy infrastructure are attacks on civilians and we
Yeah, that's
cannot
not.
support that. That, my friend, is on the edge of evil
So,
because
so
every
why
day,
would the Biden administration officials be using that kind of rhetoric? That's what I can't understand. And I'm not like into conspiracy theories, you know that. I'm just trying to prove out whatever I'm seeing. I just can't. I'm scratching my head trying to like. You're supposed to be the ones in their corner, right? As long as it takes. What on earth?
I'm reading your chat right now, and dunk on you with a $20 super chat for you, Slava Ukraini. De Jericho, SEK 129, keep it up, champs, with a heart and a beer. And a lot of communication right now, the beginnings of the chats are saying it's an election year. It's ridiculous. No, it's
There's
evil.
something more though. There's
But
something not right.
there is. And, you
Like I've
know,
never been the kind of guy that would say like the administration really just doesn't want Ukraine to win. I don't believe that. But something is sticking here that's not allowing like you should be encouraging this. Like you've proven that you have the ability to strike at 45% of oil
mm-hmm,
of
mm-hmm.
Russian oil refinery capability because of where you've struck before. You've proven that you have that range. Why are we discouraging that? I
And
don't understand. While the Russians are devastating Ukrainian energy supplies or ability to produce power right now,
I'm
like
I'm I'm losing my thunder for my stream tonight, but it's okay. I'll repeat the thunder. Listen, this is I'm sorry, please, you guys in the EU, with deepest apologies, but this is not like Estonia saying, "Hey, don't be hitting deep in Russia." This is the United States of America Secretary of Defense. It doesn't get much more powerful than that. And then
yeah.
you have tonight I will be talking about Chris Cavoli, the NATO general, the supreme commander of NATO, saying it's over for Ukraine if they don't get supply
Yeah.
immediately. It's over.
Yeah, I saw what he had to say, and it's bad. Like Russia's been
Hmm.
able to regenerate a lot of their forces here,
They're
and
stronger now than when the war started.
yep,
Answer this,
yep.
Tom Bruno, because we're in. I'm not on my channel. We're on yours. Tom Bruno. Simple. Give your answer to this. Simple. High gas prices could lose the election. Losing the election means Trump will dismantle all of NATO.
There's more to it than that.
Okay. I agree. I honestly, okay, I don't want to go deep here because I work a lot in Ukraine, as you guys know. And Professor Gerdes and I are big partners. And this is how deep the partnership is because already 139 in here live watching on your channel. Tomorrow night, Professor Gerdes, the reason we're on right now is we're testing because he's going to let me stream to his channel also because we're going to raffle a flag to raise
Yeah, I
support
talked
for the
about that
soldiers.
in a daily
Great.
brief as well.
Thank
So let
you.
me just talk about that here as well because we want them to know
We do.
what's going on.
We're going to be raffling another flag that was signed at the front zero line by Fish and another soldier who put some artwork on it of one of the most famous Ukrainians of all time, Taras Shevchenko. So tomorrow night, when you see this unique thumbnail at 5 o'clock Eastern, and you come on Dr. Gertis's channel, but you see me, it is authorized. I did not hack him, and we're
Yeah, yeah. So you can
basically all you do is you come on. I'm going to stream for 2 hours. We're going to sell raffle tickets for $10. You can go in to our nonprofit PayPal, buy a raffle ticket for $10. I'll have actually my wife will be here helping me doing all the administration on the back end, watching the incomings, put them in a sheet. At the
Mhm.
end of the 7 o'clock hour, I will take all the names, how many tickets. I use an automated piece of computer software, put all the names in, hit the wheel, spin the wheel, winner wins the flag. And it's a great way to raise funds and have a shot at winning a hand signed, hand autographed, hand artwork frontline battle flag Ukrainian. So to be very cool. Now,
So let me interrupt you. So Greg was saying this yesterday, and I said, "Well, stream it to my channel simultaneously, even if I can't be there. Like I'm
mhm,
going to try to, but
yeah,
even if I'm not there, stream it so that my audience can have a shot at that as well. Because cooperate to graduate. Why wouldn't we do that? I mean, there should be no ego here. This should be
there is no
working
ego.
together,
We're
trying to
working
get this.
together.
That's right.
In fact, Dr. Dawson is in here now. We'll be with him on Saturday and raising money for Ukraine. And we have to, because it's what's right. And this is the beauty of the good people of the world coming together to support. I just wish the nations would do it. But that brings us back to what you were saying. I think there's more to it. And please, guys,
So
do
on the
not.
American side, I can't figure it out. Usually I have a good feel for why things are going one way or another, but I'm scratching my head here. This does not make any sense to me. Other than the not wanting to, or the appeasement mentality of not wanting to trip a red line, self-deterring, that kind of thing. But what's self-deterring about them doing that because you're not providing missile? It doesn't add up, and I can't figure it out.
So we're deterring the nuclear red line, okay, or even the threat of it. But at the same time, we are literally, and I know I've said it from day
We're
one,
creating a worse.
they're getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And not
And
only are they
angry.
getting stronger, they're getting angry. And now Iran saber rattling like never before.
Mm-hmm.
Now China is really supplying. It's kind of a goofy way they're doing it, but they're supplying. Kazakhstan is rolling. We're creating a monster by trickle feeding Ukraine to their
That's right.
slaughter.
That's right. Brazil. I saw an article. Brazil, since 2023, up 6,000% in taking in oil from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
6,000%. So even if they're not doing it directly, they're doing it indirectly. And wow.
Exactly. I okay, so you guys know I work in Ukraine a lot. I just don't want to go deep on this because I'm not prepared to.
Yeah, don't
But
say
I am
anything you can't say.
well,
I'm
I'm
trying to
just
figure out.
I would ask the question. I can ask it in the question. Is Ukraine's war against their corruption? And please, I'm saying this clearly. Ukraine is not the only corrupt nation in the world. All nations struggle with keeping their closets clean. Um, is that affecting international support? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know from working inside Ukraine with nonprofits and military supply and humanitarian rescue, it's not always easy.
Oh, sure. But I'm looking at the other side of the table. I'm looking at what is it that is either Russia provoked or in Russia's interest that is aligned with U.S. interest that's allowing them to or causing them to take this kind
Mm-hmm.
of position where they have to back up. I can't figure it out, and it's getting mission critical now where it looks like, I mean, other than a few very clear areas, um, the most vital places. There's not enough air defense. They're running out of missiles. They're just going to be tagged with impunity, and nobody's getting it. And like no, like
I
the EU's not
am
getting it there. Come
I
on.
am not a conspiracy theorist at all. I just pay attention to the nations I work in when I hear them, whether it's Ukraine, Russia, African nations, Asian nations. I work in 38 nations. Um, and I'm going somewhere with this. Somebody put a comment in your chat, and I'm finding it here. Father William, do not forget Biden was VP in 2014 when the U.S.
Yeah, that's right.
shrugged over Crimea. Okay,
So hold on. Let me also add something to that
okay, go
because
ahead.
there's something that needs to be some background. In 2004, George Bush. 2008, we're still looking at Bush before we get to Obama, and then Obama is then guilty for 2014, and so it's a bipartisan dropping of the ball
hmm
because this area of the world has not been prioritized. And I get that. I understand. The U.S. has to simultaneously look at what's going on here and everywhere else because they have to keep the peripheral vision going, right? I understand it, but it's a bipartisan mess.
It is. And that's going to get to the next comment I'm going to read. In fact, I'll read that now, then I'll give my comment. Karen Forey says, my gut feeling is that the USA is going to stop supplying Ukraine, both conservatives and Democrats. Gut feeling from Karen Forey speaks to what you're saying, both sides. Now,
Gosh, I hope
I
not.
will tell you this. I will tell you this. I really do not watch TV. I watch the Andy Griffith show, and like if I'm traveling or something and we're driving all the front lines in Ukraine, I will download. There's only 4 or 5 shows I've ever watched in my whole life: The Mentalist, Criminal Minds, The Blacklist, and 1 or 2 more.
The 18.
The 18 and The Dukes of Hazzard. That's it. Okay.
There you go.
Now, if you guys, no conspiracy here, this is a fact. Go back and watch television in the United States from 08 to 14, especially lots of episodes on The Blacklist and even Criminal Minds. And it is many, many, many times where they already are writing into the Hollywood scripts Crimea, the Ukrainian terrorists, the Ukrainian ones that are fighting as the Nazis. It's written right in there, and Russia separatists are coming in. It's all in the writings then. But now, 10 years later, I look back and I go, oh, and I'm no conspiracy there. It's just observation. This is very complex. And of course, at the root of all that's easy to see Russian propaganda, not only in DC and
Sure.
capitals throughout Europe, but of course in Hollywood too. So like you say, I completely agree with you. It is very layered in depth, but when the defense secretary,
Yeah.
when the assistant and the supreme commander of NATO all within 48 hours come out and make these kind of statements, be careful.
So that's all executive branch too. Like
yes.
that's all from Biden administration. So what's going on in Biden administration as opposed like we're quick to blame Congress, and Congress has their issues, no doubt. They need to get that sorted out, but like what something's not right.
Something is definitely not right. And I will tell you this. I received a call. You and I were working on the back end of this YouTube stuff just a few minutes ago, and I received a phone call from a buddy of mine. Actually, my apartment where I live, I have my own place there. That's where my little studio is in Ukraine. He called me and he says, Greg, he never calls me Greg. I have nicknames in Ukraine, and most people call me Dядя Grisha, which means Uncle Grisha. Okay. But he called me by my American English name. Never do they do that. He says, Greg, I'm concerned. Yesterday's attack, if it happens again, we're in real trouble. And I'm sitting here right now in the dark. I'm sitting here in the dark right now with power issues. Our country's getting mad at each other. Today they were approving the mobilization in the Rada, but Greg, only 42 deputies were there on the vote. Everybody was voting remotely.
Hey,
because
can you add Johnny? I think he's in the chat.
Yeah, I can add Johnny. Johnny, can you get in here? Okay, so let me do this.
There's something that just really changed here. Something is significantly different, and I can't put my finger on it. I'm hoping Johnny understands this.
Okay, if you talk and give me 30 seconds, I'm going to work.
Yeah, I can give you 30 seconds
on the software here. And
yeah, no worries.
I'm going to do.
So we're getting pummeled by lack of artillery. We're getting pummeled by lack of air defense, and nothing's forthcoming from either the U.S. or Europe. I mean, artillery shells are theoretically on the way, but the Russians at this point are able to hit with drones and missiles without Ukraine being able to shoot them down because there's just not enough Patriot batteries and or Patriot battery defense missiles, rockets able to do it. And that's a very bad place to be.
Is Greg related to Medvedev? No, I'm not related to Medvedev. No, he's going out with his son. Okay.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yes. If anything
I saw.
changes, if anything changes, Johnny, it's in your WhatsApp.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's and Johnny was in there saying this was a. I sent him a video, questioning uh, the assistant defense secretary. Yes, where this was senator who was
Yeah, yeah.
questioning senator
Scott.
questioning Scott. Yes, and he said, "Yeah, that was a part of my morning rant because it was just a logical thought that he was simply asking. You know, if you're hitting energy infrastructure." I think he said something like this. I don't want to quote him, but he did say, you know, if you get punched in the face in the war, isn't it
Can I
right
punch
to
back?
punch back in the face?
Yeah.
You know, I just, I don't have an answer.
He's also a Republican from Georgia. Marjorie Taylor Greene's a Republican from Georgia. Quite a contrast.
Isn't it though?
How about that?
Well, m- may I ask you a question?
What's that? I don't have to answer, so you can ask anything
Correct.
you want.
Okay, so when he questioned her back, he was very articulate. He was
Mm-hmm.
honorable. He was
Mm-hmm.
caring about people and
Mm-hmm.
trying to be fair. And it's completely opposite of MTG, who just wants to smile and be on the camera. So my question for you is, I know you said he's a Republican from Georgia, just like she is, but in my opinion, she's not a Republican. She's
No,
a MAGA. She's a
she's clearly
cultist.
MAGA, and that's where MAGA is. It's within the Republican Party. There's a civil
Okay,
war, right? But he's also not a fame whore. He's
correct.
not trying to be like most people. I would imagine if you ask in the chat right now, how many of you have heard of the Republican Representative Scott from Georgia? There'd be like nobody, right? I even had to wait. He's a Republican, isn't he? I had to look it up myself, as opposed to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who can't seem to, she's never seen a camera she doesn't like and is constantly trying to put stuff out. I actually had a conversation after lunch with a colleague. We were walking back from lunch today, and I said, honestly, I can't tell who I despise more between Marjorie Taylor Greene and AOC.
Oh,
Right
it's
now, as
equal
a
for me.
Republican, yeah, as a Republican, it's easy to despise AOC, right? Everything that I stand for, she stands on the other side of, generally speaking, with perhaps the exception. I don't know where she is exactly on Ukraine, but pretty much everything else, we're on opposite sides. But Marjorie Taylor Greene's supposed to be on in my camp, supposedly pushing values that are similar to mine, but yet she's a train wreck that I don't want to have anything to do with. And and I came down that it was Marjorie Taylor Greene that I despise more. At least I can, with a straight face, just dislike AOC,
Correct.
right?
Well,
Here,
listen,
I'm like, what are you doing in my party?
You haven't won a fight since grade 5, and that was against a girl.
that's Morgan Freeman. I couldn't help it because I cannot believe I just heard you say a camera whore.
Yeah, no, that's right.
That was quite impressive.
That's what she. Well, I try to be
I
nice to
agree.
everybody, but
I
really,
understand.
honestly, she just can't seem to. She's like it's like a Kardashian. What's funny?
I love it. I mean,
Oh,
I can see today. Okay, so let's be honest and get it right back to straight along right now. Johnny this morning, boiling mad, boiling,
oh yeah, that's where I
concerned,
am.
concerned. You can see Dr. Gertis's face. You can hear Dr. Gerdes, who is straight laced as they come, dropping camera whore. Okay. And I'm going to tell you guys, many of you in here, if you do not know me from partnering with Dr. Gerdes, most of you probably have. You know, we work in Ukraine with Zhenya, running the front lines. And I've already told you about my conversation with my buddy where my apartment is. But Zhenya and I were talking for about an hour earlier today. And the man's basically in tears,
Hmm.
basically in tears because the country's falling around them, guys. And the world's just watching it happen for
Yep.
and the people of the world are doing amazing things.
It's
Amazing.
our leaders that are dropping the ball.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a tough day
Yeah,
because
it really is. I mean, this is something significantly different than other days. And if we don't report this, if we just do, see how Ukraine did this,
hmm
and
hmm
what good is that? We're just providing false hope. What we people need to understand what's going on here, and it's not good. It's not good on the front line either. With especially to talk about the glide bombs and things along those lines, because that's important.
Sumi was just hit a couple of hours ago. Another power plant with a glide bomb. The glide bombs are unstoppable, and when they begin dropping the 1,500 kilogram, it's 3,000 pounds plus. They're dropping. They can level a 9-story building with one bomb. This is the power of those. They're destroying these power plants, guys. They're not repairable. They're done. There was a thought that just occurred to me. We were asking, why would these people do this? Why would Lloyd Austin say, do not hit the power plants? Why would the assistant say, don't hit the power plants? Russia came out today and said on their state TV, the reason we are striking now the power plants much more regularly and with much more precision that we can do, and more is to come, is because you're striking our infrastructure. I'm wondering if there is a little, I know.
Come on. Yeah.
But knowing that Ukraine can't stop these mass attacks, and the United States may be knowing that supplies not coming. I don't know. You said let's try to figure out why. I don't know why, because it's crazy.
So to believe Russia with that, when they would do it anyway, if they could. Oh, by the way, it's not unstoppable. They did stop one glide bomb. I reported about that yesterday. So they actually clipped the wing of one of the glide bombs and knocked it down, and it didn't go off. And then they had to detonate it on the ground, which I thought was fascinating. But yeah, generally speaking, they're unstoppable until you have F-16s up in the air that can back those planes back up, because they got 37 miles. I don't remember what it was to kilometers, because I speak miles, not kilometers, but 37 miles out they can be. And if you had F-16s up in the air, keeping them at a farther distance, that would tamp that down in a significant way. But those aren't going to be here for months.
Well, and right now I was talking about this. It might have been you and I talking about it, or maybe I was with Johnny the other night. We were talking about now those airplanes are feeling more comfortable once again to come closer to the front because of the lack of air defense, which once again allows them to reach even further. Forget the missiles and the Shaheeds right now. When they do the mass launch of Shaheeds, and the variations of cruise, ballistic, and hypersonic missiles, they are overwhelming, and it really is unstoppable. Okay, on certain targets they want to hit, especially like they smashed Lviv and Kyiv and other places. We'll go through the map tonight with Zhenya and look at each of those places. But when the planes come closer, those glide bombs have a 90-kilometer range. So instead of flying them, for example, think about Kharkiv. They put the planes up. They kind of bring them around Belgorod. And Belgorod, the center of Belgorod to the center of Kharkiv is 90 kilometers. So they could literally put the plane over Belgorod, drop the glide bomb, and drop it on Kharkiv. If they can bring it closer to the border, well, then they're coming in, they're hitting Izum, they're hitting other places that are further in. So the F-16s help to keep that back at bay. It's not like they're going to be the panacea, and they're not going to shoot down
but it
all
keeps
the
them
Russian
farther,
planes.
and they're using this. It's like a new weapon in their arsenal that they couldn't use before, because you'd have to fly a plane over and drop a bomb before, and now they can use it at a distance like a missile. So shouldn't Lloyd Austin be saying not to Ukraine, and shouldn't his undersecretary not be saying to Ukraine, don't hit these energy facilities, but saying to Russia, don't do this, because if you do this, these other bad things will happen to you. That's how you deal with the bully, but we're not doing it.
They're scared for
Yeah,
some reason. Why
that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is it that they're?
I don't know. Johnny in here, he can't let it go. He's trying to be out with his son. He can't let it go. I'm pretty sure Chinese intelligence and satellite imagery are helping. No question. I would agree with that, JP. But you know what? There's just some fear. Like, forgive me if I'm wrong, Dr. Gerdes. I know this is your expertise area. But isn't it a part of our responsibility, being the strongest nation on the planet, to say, don't do that? It's not like we're imperialists.
Yeah. So,
isn't there a
the question there? Yeah.
responsibility?
So the question there is, if you don't do this, like, oh, we don't want to be the world's policeman. Okay, I get it. I don't want to do that either. But I like free trade, and if I want to have the benefits of free trade, and I don't want to do this, something's malfunctioning. I have to do certain things in order. Like the U.S. Navy doesn't exist to fight other navies necessarily. It exists to keep free trade flowing throughout the world. And if that military presence was lifted, it would create a vacuum that would cause a lot of bad things to happen all around the world. And so, yes, you have a responsibility, whether you want it or not. You don't, like, I'm not a globalist. I don't want to be a globalist. I don't want to have international something regulating everything. That's not my jam. But we still have a responsibility. And if you give up that responsibility, who fills it? China? Like, how would you like that world? You know what they're doing with, like, clamping down on their people technologically in China. Like, they're actually in many ways worse than what Russia is in the way that they technologically are just dominating their people. And we just don't want to go to that place.
This is a day of deep concern.
It really is.
It really is, because we're on the 11th now. You know, we're now 72 hours in, or pushing 72 hours in from, hey, we will be discussing Ukraine. We will be working on aid for Ukraine when we get back off of our Easter break. MTG, as you call her, the camera whore, gets involved, starts putting the back pressure. Johnson's now basically a rabbit at the end of a string, and the next thing you know, Russia's smashing. Lloyd Austin is saying, "Don't strike deep." Then the assistant.
So maybe that's it. Wait, hold on. I just had a thought. Maybe that's it. Maybe Austin is I'm just thinking. You just triggered something when you said Johnson. Maybe it's that Austin knows that he can't actually get anything through in enough time to actually do anything, and so he's trying to tell them back off because of what you said, but because we can't backfill anything, Europe's not backfilling anything, and if it's locked up in Congress right now, maybe that's what's going on. I don't know, but it's something is very weird.
You're more than welcome to try to join by phone in the car, Johnny. I'll see you if you hop in. The credentials are in.
Yeah, let him hop in. I want to hear what he has to say.
Please try to pull over and hop in. It'll work perfectly. I think
maybe they're just recognizing that.
I think there's something to it. I will tell you this.
I hope I'm wrong with that. I mean, I don't want to be right.
Said, we're throwing everything at Ukraine right now, it'd still be weeks and months getting there.
That's right.
What's going to be? We're at a critical juncture, guys. I'm telling you right now, one more strike like this on energy infrastructure, and Ukraine's in the dark. In the dark.
But they can't hit anything. They don't have anything to hit stuff down, knock things down with.
No. If Russia hits Ukraine again.
That's what I'm saying. If Russia hits Ukraine, they don't have no defense.
That's my point. My point being, if Russia chooses to do this type of attack again in 3 days, Ukraine is in serious trouble. They're already in big trouble right now on the energy grid. Then they're going to be in serious trouble because now Russia is saying what we actually want to do is cut out the power because there is a ground offensive coming.
Yep.
And we're putting
that's
the
going to be brutal
down,
without power, without communication.
Have no power to supply your lines. Negotiate with us now. Give us these properties, and let's be done with this. It's where we're heading, and a lot of people don't want to call it the way it is right now, but It's where it's going to. I'm keeping an eye over here if Johnny's able to pop in. I'm House of Representatives
It's
talked about sea turtles today, Bombi 1138.
because that's critically important, of course.
Where is the 800,000 shells from Czech Republic? Guys, they
Yeah,
will not arrive before June at the earliest. There's the
they
payment
might trickle
structure.
in.
Yeah,
They might trickle in some by May, from what I've read, but it's
yes.
not going to be all at the same time. And
That's the thing we have
but
to
it's
remember.
really the real critical need is air defense, and you can't like just make that up out of nothing. I mean, and that's what needs to be provided more than about anything else at this point, from what I can tell. Because there will be a domino effect, right? There'll be, like as you said, if air defense can't be there, everything goes dark. You have no power to communicate, to supply the front line, to do. That's going to be really ugly.
No, it is the plan. Whether it happens or not, we shall see. But so I read a lot of Russian media, guys. A lot of Russian media. I watch the Russian state TV. I watch their websites. I've got friends in Russia. All of that. Their plan is now to cripple them, and they are getting stronger. And see, the Western mentality doesn't want to even entertain that thought. Hold on, they're losing X amount of soldiers a day, and they're losing 40 times the equipment Ukraine is. Well, they have 100 times the equipment Ukraine has. So you
Yeah,
have to
they
do
had a pretty big buildup from the Soviet Union.
a mathematical equation. But the reality is they are getting stronger. And now, Ukraine passing their mobilization, Zelensky coming out and say, well, we're not going to need 500,000, maybe not even 400,000. Sierski will all decide
They're
on
going to
those
need more
numbers.
of the
You're
the
going to need
longer
more
this.
than 500,000. Okay. But Russia today coming out and saying, yeah, by December, we're adding 400,000. We may struggle to equip the 300 to 400, that last 100,000, but we're going to mobilize them. The first 300,000 we're already prepared for. And I know people want to say, well, you can't believe anything Russia says, da 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 da. They have resources. They do.
Yes. I'm not sure what to make of this. If something bigger than Lithuania can't step up into this. I mean, Lithuania, Estonia, you guys have been awesome. I'm not complaining. I have the Vetus on my wall back here. If you look over my head, that is the Vetus. It's the White Knight. Hold on, let me go grab that. That's a Lithuania symbol. I've been to Lithuania 3 times, and this is the White Knight driving the invader out of the land. They get it because they were folded into the Soviet Union against their will. They didn't want to be there, and they were in 1991 going, you know what? The Constitution says we're free and independent countries coming together in the socialist union, so we'd like to go now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gorbachev sent tanks. And the good people of Vilnius came out and locked arms around the parliament building and rose deep, and Gorbachev blinked. Right? They get it. They understand. I actually talked to an MP from the Sejmas, that's their parliament, who was telling me that they were actually unscrewing the railings inside the building so that they'd have something to fight with when the Soviets broke through. Like, they get it. But something bigger than Lithuania needs to be stepping up. Some other entity, and quickly, and move those things rapidly to where they can be deployed. And it's just not happening, and it's going to cause more death and more chaos.
You guys
very
know
frustrating.
how much I work inside Ukraine. I'm not sure all Ukrainians get it to the level that Professor Gerdes was just describing the Latvians. If you want to hear truth, there is a complete difference. And I'm not talking cultural language here. I'm talking atmosphere between Western Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine, of course, logically, because Eastern and Southern Ukraine is a horrible, horrible war zone. horrible beyond your imagination. But the West, I mean, I can't even say the things we talk about, Jane and I talk about, but please forgive me, folks. Okay? Please forgive me. I never want anybody to perish. I risk my own life to go to the front lines. But sometimes I'm almost not grateful, but it's a sobering reality sometimes when the strikes hit in the West and it begins to wake
Yeah.
the Western Ukrainians up. I hope I'm verbalizing that properly, because many Ukrainians are trying. We're in third year now. We're trying to forget this. They've lost so many friends, so many family members, and they just want this war to go away. And this is the war of attrition that Russia plays, and the meat grinder and the
It
sacrifice.
dwarfs, if I understand it correctly, it dwarfs the differences between the left coast and the Northeast, as opposed to the American heartland and South. I
Yes.
mean, like, you know that there's differences there, but it's orders of magnitude larger between Western Ukraine and Eastern Ukraine. Um, and yeah, so
When I'm on the front line with the soldiers, you just think about this statement right here. You think about this statement. I'm there on the front. I'm embedded with them, hanging out, being shelled, air alarms ripping, giving them aid, having tea, conversation. And I ask them, are you going to quit? They go, never am I going to quit. I said, okay, why? Why are you not going to quit? Well, I'm fighting for three things. I'm fighting, number one, so that my country will stand. Number two, I'm fighting for my family and my children. And then they'll say, number three, but actually, most importantly, I'm fighting for Victor and Oleg and Sasha and Natalia, who already gave their life up. But many times they tell me this, and then I get into the cultural, 26 years working there, I'm culturally accepted big time. So they know I love them, and they tell me truth. They'll say, and I'm also fighting for the kid. When they say kid, they mean 22, 23, 24, 25-year-old sitting in the coffee shop drinking hot chocolate right now in Lviv while I'm in this trench. It's in the mind a little bit. Early in the war, guys, the first year, and I'm running the front lines in Ukraine, it was like all hands on deck. People were in the streets. They were standing there at the tables, making the nets. They were building things, doing everything. That has dwindled through the attrition of the war, and people are having to try to sustain their lives. People would not even go to work. They'd be sewing nets and camouflage nets. And then as war goes on, no fault on them. They still have to get food to eat for their family and pay their rent. The war of attrition went on, so it's very different now than it was 2 years ago. And I think that's all calculated for what we're seeing right now. So we shall see what unfolds.
So I hate to say that Putin might be right, but his thought was that he could outlast democracies in the West, and just like they would get tired and fold, and that it does seem like there's something to his theory. Unless they wake up, I mean, like I said, they have the economy of Italy. I mean, that's their GDP equivalent of Italy. Like your 11 time zones, that's the best you could do, was to have the economy of Italy, but that's where they are. So the West has the ability, they just don't have the will.
Correct. Or I've seen it quite a bit in your chat here, or the leadership.
Hey, Johnny's saying nobody's letting him in, and you got to hurry up because I got to run off to a 2:00
Johnny,
workshop on AI.
Johnny, all you have to do is I'm in. You are in.
He said no one's letting him in.
No, there's nothing to let in. Let me do that one more time, and you get him in here before you run. Uh, he he can't be in. I
He's
mean,
going to be
yes,
here
he
for
can
5
be
minutes
in.
because I've got to teach a workshop on keeping students from cheating with ChatGPT.
751. Oh, I gotta stop after that. 751 3809384. Let's try that one last time, and then you can run out the door. At least we could get 60 seconds of Johnny's rant before you run out the door.
Yeah, let's hear him.
713. Done it. I do not know why I'm not seeing you, Johnny, but I will do this because the clock is ticking. I'll give you a new password now. New password. You know what you could do is you could just get Chat GPT to do that class for you, Doc. 760.
You ain't kidding. I have to rewrite everything about how I do things. I mean, they can just cheat, and they're not smart enough to realize that it's not what it should be because they hadn't read the book. So,
Is it prevalent?
oh man, it's bad. It's like I can't just
Oh,
say
I got
compare
him.
and contrast these two books or these two
I got him.
authors and think through.
All right, now let me do it so we're sensitive to you, Johnny. You've been listening to us the whole time, and I think what we do now is just let him go. Boom,
There he
Johnny
is.
Pierce in the house.
All right,
I've,
Johnny,
I've
what are
missed
you seeing?
I've missed the last 5 minutes, so I'm sorry. I may have to
That's all
repeat
right.
myself. I'm not echoing, am I, too much or anything?
No, everything's perfect.
Oh, that's amazing! Wow, modern technology.
Real software, guys.
We
I'm
are only seeing
equally.
half your face, though.
Turn your camera a
Yeah,
little bit the other way. There we go.
There you go.
there we go. Okay, well, it was a better half, but yeah, I'm really concerned, like you guys. I am gonna add a little bit of positive to what you guys are saying. In it's I don't think it's as bad with the Biden administration, as in there's a tiny bit of wiggle room with what Dr. Wallander was saying in the hearing yesterday, which is she didn't say don't hit, you can't hit. It was a tiny bit more vague. So it was like she actually did say they are a sovereign nation, they can do what they like type thing in answer to Austin Scott. And she also said, I think the words were we're concerned. So in the range of rhetoric, that is at the lower end, but it's not the right message at all. It's still wrong. It's just slightly less wrong, which is better than being absolutely dire, which is like, no, you can't do that, and we're going to do something about it if you do. Is that fair?
It's fair. It's just this concerted effort from the administration, not even from Congress or Mike Johnson and Trump or whatever. It's like, come on, guys, give me somebody to root for,
Yeah.
right?
What's worrying is it's coming from the Department of Defense, actually, pretty much, which concerns me more because, like, if it was Jake Sullivan, then that's what we expect. I mean, this is kind of Jake Sullivan thinking. I wouldn't even say it's Biden particularly. The worrying person is almost always what people think is Jake Sullivan. But the fact that it's come from Lloyd Austin and the Assistant Secretary is kind of weird, or that
Yeah.
is not good.
JP, one question for you. I'm cool with all of that analysis and agree, no problem there. But what about her statement about the energy infrastructure being civilian targets?
Yeah, so that's what I talked about on my video this morning, and I actually pulled out a document that's a Department of Defense document, the Law of War manual, and it's basically in disagreement with that. So it says generally, and usually those things are okay for military targets. The other issue I have is it's almost, I don't know if this was the case actually, but it's very easy to make an equivalence, which is a false equivalence, between the thermal power stations being hit and oil refineries. So thermal power stations, just in case you're kind of pro-Russian, going for that kind of propagandist approach, you could say, well, you could create an equivalence there, but they're not, because energy is used for everything to exist as a civilian, more so than the refined oil product, which is at most it's going to affect the price of oil or the price of gasoline or petrol,
and it'll constrict their ability to generate income, right? I mean, so that's different than targeting a civilian population in the same process. So yeah, good. That's a good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it's much easier to make an argument that she's completely wrong, that in fact oil refineries really are part of the funding of the war, much more than they are an attack on civilians per se.
But at the same time, at least could we have had a statement that said they're doing the same thing, attacking civilian targets? Because today civilians are suffering. I've been on the phone with Ukrainians, and the energy infrastructure attacks are killing civilians. And secondly, they are really, we're one more mass attack away, Johnny, from critical on the energy front.
I fully agree. So that's what I was listening to you say that earlier, and I'm 100% in agreement. I was saying that in my video earlier today, that they can do this last night, they can do it again, and they can do it again. And it's only the amount of Kinzhal missiles they can produce. But if they can knock out a power plant every time they do this, Ukraine is screwed. Like this is, I am way more like worried now and annoyed and everything than I have been for a long time. And I don't know that other people are taking it as seriously as they should.
We were just simply testing.
Johnny,
go ahead.
I've got to go in 2 minutes because I have to run off to this workshop I'm conducting. So what do you think of my theory that maybe Lloyd Austin and the Undersecretary are saying what they're saying because they want to slow things down, because they know that nothing's getting there? They know that Congress isn't providing it. The West isn't providing it. Nothing's on its way. There's no cavalry coming to the rescue. So they're trying to. That's why they're trying to tamp it down. That's
right. That's interesting. So that makes. Interestingly, I've not thought about this. So it's a post hoc rationalization, which means an after the fact rationalization to kind of explain away how impotent Congress are being. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So it's not just that, but they recognize going forward, we're not getting anything to you. We don't have any means of getting anything to you anytime soon. So you got to stop doing this because that's provoking them. And that's, I think, what might be happening.
Yeah, so it's part of the escalation narrative really, but more in line with not general escalation, but escalation in light of the fact that the US can't help, and possibly the administration are recognizing that Congress isn't going to help either. Like we've seen Mike Johnson not do anything for 2 days, as Greg said correctly earlier, which is like what he promised to do. He's just routinely stated things and then gone against what he's stated. So I don't think we can trust him anymore. That's really interesting thought, because something has to make sense of it. They're not going to be saying stuff for what we say in the UK, shits and giggles. Sorry to swear, but like there is. It's not just for a laugh. So there must be some rationale behind what they're saying, and it's trying to work out what is the most plausible theory.
Yeah, and that's what had me scratching my head, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes a little bit of sense. Well, it's still not great. I mean, then it's an admission from DOD that they can't do anything, that they're hamstrung, and they can't. Which is equally as depressing.
Yep. Oh, it is.
I know you're just about to go, but the other good bit of I think positive coming out is today the European Union, the European Parliament made a vote. Which Guy Verhofstadt from Belgium was up for, which is we aren't going to do funding until we get 7 Patriots to Ukraine, and they got, out of 597, they got 515 votes. It was an overwhelming majority. It got a round of applause. Europe, by and large, is on Ukraine's side. It's just matching rhetoric and will to money and equipment, and how quickly that can be done.
May I ask a question?
You got to go out quickly.
Go out quickly. If that was to happen and we scrap up some Patriot systems throughout the EU, we send them to Ukraine, I'm sure there are laws of agreement that they have to be resupplied from the US into the NATO territories. I'm just saying, isn't it
No, it's
still
all connected.
complicated?
We're not going to figure this out now.
Okay.
And I seriously have to run to my workshop.
You go to your class. Johnny, give me 30 seconds.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
end
still
the
with you.
stream. Are you ready for this? We're gonna take over
Yeah.
Gerdes' channel. By the way,
Always.
did you
Help
hear,
yourself. It's all
did
you.
you hear
I've always
Gerdes?
been for this.
Did you hear Gerdes say earlier he called MTG a camera whore?
Nothing was said.
So,
Gotta go. Bye.
did you hear me back saying I like AOC? I think she's got heaps of integrity, and also she's right on Ukraine. AOC is bang on correct about Ukraine. So as
Wait
far
a
as I'm
second.
concerned,
You're on
she's
Gerdes'
great in my.
channel now. You're on Gerdes' channel now, not my channel.
I need to
You
be careful.
cannot sit here and throw good awards to AOC. Those are fighting words. We were focusing
Yeah,
on the fact
hijack.
that Darren Gerdes called MTG a camera whore. I mean, the straight-laced
He's
professor.
right though.
He is right.
He's right.
And by the way, you are now
Yeah.
officially Darren Gerdes.
But this is, I mean, at some point, and no disrespect.
Oh, don't leave me here alone, Johnny. I think I lost Johnny. Well, guys, I hope this demonstrates for you how much we all stand together, because what we're doing right now, you do not do without trust. Literally, Dr. Gerdes is heading to a class.
I'm back.
Okay, praise God. Oh, praise the universe. Praise the universe.
I was just going to say that you get to a critical mass where there's so much evidence to suggest that these people are bad faith actors, and I think the Freedom Caucus at the moment are proving themselves, whether it be Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, to be bad faith actors when it comes to international politics, and they are basically doing the bidding of Putin, and I can't put it any. I can't see it any other way than that, and that needs to be addressed. I think there is genuinely a national security issue. Issue is an understatement. There's a national security crisis in the United States when you have politicians compromised, and that's the only way I see it. I think it's worse than people recognize.
Well, I think we can close this way. We can say the next week is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and it's going to be all about how quick Europe can mobilize. I know. So one thing I want to say actually before Jay, we talked about this recently, mate. We talked about, and it came from Pierre as well. Pierre was saying it's almost like Ukraine needs to go through a massive crisis to wake Ukrainians up themselves in Ukraine, in the West, who maybe don't feel that the war is still as in their lives as it should be. So you've got mobilization coming, but also for the rest of the world, I think there's something bad happening, which is a crippling of Ukraine's energy infrastructure and absolute disaster might be, the silver lining here is the terrible thing might be the catalyst to the rest of the world getting their act together and actually expediting aid to Ukraine.
This is exactly what I was saying. Maybe in the 5 minutes you were not with us, I said, I don't know how to verbalize this. I do not want a mass event. I don't want people killed. I don't want some tragedy, but I'm telling you right now, central and western Ukraine needs something to wake these people up, because the atmosphere is adjusted as we went into the third year of the war. So completely agree with that. And we're reaching critical mass. We'll see what happens today. Not the best of days. Tonight at 5 Eastern in 3 hours, I will have Zhenya in here. We'll be discussing the Ukrainian perspective on this. He'll be talking tonight straight from Ukraine about these attacks, about how they're viewing the aid of the world, et cetera, et cetera. So that'll be interesting. Darren, it's been nice to be on here with you, sitting in your car. You have Darren Gerdes on your thing.
Yeah, thanks, y'all. Awesome stuff, man. I love me some Reagan.
I love me some Reagan. Wait, I'm gonna clip that. No, but listen here. In all seriousness, I hope 352 in here watching right now. I hope this demonstrates for you guys the trust and the partnership that not only us three, but the other guys have as well. You do not know how risky it is for Gerdes to just let us have his channel. I mean, it's risky. You better have relationship and trust. And of course we do. We're all personal friends. But the point is, we're really working together, not to build our legacies, but to stand for what's right and to help Ukraine. So much love to you, Darren.
Big love to you as well, my friend.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Prof is off at a class. We've hijacked his channel. And, you know, since it is Professor Gerdes Explains, I think we should talk about atheism, how strong liberalism is, and if you're not woke, you're a bloke. You know, we can do something of that nature and just completely destroy his community.
Cosmos save America. Cosmos save America.
All right, Johnny. Be safe. Enjoy your family. Guys, be blessed.
Take care, brother.
I know that Professor Gerdes will be back later with another video upload. And tomorrow night, Professor Gerdes will be on his channel with me, live streaming the next flag raffle. Tomorrow night, you'll see the thumbnail on that. And tonight, I'll be talking with Janie at 5 p.m. You guys be blessed. Thank you for everything. And I'm just going to hit end stream here. Johnny, I'll holler at you a little bit later. Enjoy your family.
Yeah, big love, man.